I think there's a real misconception perhaps regarding, from international talents, regarding language, that you feel like you have to be totally fluent in Finnish before you can make a positive contribution to a Finnish working environment. And in my experience, that's not the case. You can use your native language, you can use Finnish, and you can kind of combine these things. So in my day-to-day life, I use Finglish. So, I feel like we kind of use the languages based on the need of what we're doing with colleagues. I feel my employer, the City of Turku, has really helped me in certain ways to overcome the language barrier, and really kind of, first off, acknowledging that there is a language barrier and kind of taking both me into account as a non-native speaker, I think is really important, and also taking my Finnish colleagues into account. And one way we can do this is by managing expectations in advance. So for example, if we are having a meeting in a couple of days, we can send an agenda out the day before that goes through the main points that we'll be discussing, and crucially the primary language that we'll be using in that meeting. And as a non-Finnish speaker, if I know there is a meeting coming up in a couple of days, then that gives me a little bit of time to prepare, a little bit of time to brush up on my vocabulary for that particular topic. And it means that when I get to the meeting, I'm not kind of constantly worried about when do I speak, what are we talking about now. I have a little bit of preparation behind me, and those small changes make a real impact into the way I feel at work, and also the work that I produce. So I'm happy to say that my experience of being international in a Finnish workplace has been broadly very positive. I found very supported by my colleagues. I think people take into account the fact that my Finnish language skills are not fluent, but I've been able to work with my colleagues to create a working culture that I feel we can all do our best work in. So in my experience, my integration to Finland is really a case of how many connections I have here. So of course the working life is a really big part of that integration, but I look at the bigger picture, and I think, if you want to truly integrate here in Finland, then you have to be kind of engaged in all aspects of life, both working life and also outside of the workplace. One of the ways I've been able to integrate is to make connections and friends and build relationships through not just my kind of working activities, but also through my hobbies and my free time activities and my interest groups. And I find that, again, these help with the language. So you can practice the language at work, but I can also practice my Finnish through sports, through hobbies, through shared interests with others. So again, from an employee perspective, I think that's really important. And from an employer perspective, it's good to remember that when you hire an international employee, they have all of this wider change going on at the same time. They are not perhaps exactly the same worker straight away as they were in their home country. You have to remember they're in a constant process of adapting, whether it's for the language or just general kind of how they feel at home in Finland.